Good morning, welcome to a morning review. This is Kim speaking on Monday, the 30th of January. So looking at the euro dollar first, and well, the euro had a bit of a gap open yesterday evening. It's now closed that, pretty much closed the gap. There is actually a little bit more gap to close, actually looking at the euro and maybe on the pound as well. So maybe a bit more gap to be closed. Once the gap's closed, the gap close actually is on the daily pivot, just below that daily pivot, so we could have a bit more downside. Um, Looking then at the potential moves today, I was looking at this on Friday and thinking, well, there could be some more bullishness coming through this morning, and well, we'll see. It's difficult to sort of draw a specific trend line. We've broken the sort of the bullish trend line that was running across, just about to break the bullish trend line, not quite broken it actually. That was running across here. We have got, as I said, the untouched daily pivot, which is a reasonably high probability of being hit. So I'd rather see that being sorted out first, or touched first, to hit those sort of levels. Now, subject to the reaction around this sort of level, I could still be considering, as I say, looking at that longer side of the market. But as I say, it's all subject to how it sort of comes around to the pivot. If it comes around to the pivot, if it starts taking off beforehand, well, I'll have a look at that as well. But I'd like to see that gap properly filled. It's almost there, but I'd like to see it completely filled first. Cable's a pretty similar picture in terms of, well, not quite as bullish on Friday when I was looking at the end of play, but all the same, the dailies have still got potential for upside. We'll see, but the weekly pivot just below us. Euro's been hit already. The weekly pivot's still below us and got potential to be hit. The gap there is just fractionally. Or actually, it's probably been hit now, completed there actually on this move here. So we'll have a watch and see how this reacts. Now, I could be looking on the bullish side. I'd rather it be if we break that 50 MA, so would be looking at the bullish side on that. But if we start selling off after 8 o'clock through this pivot towards the weekly pivot, there may be at least a short-term trade in that, and it may be some more. Now, we were putting in sort of lower highs here and lower lows on Friday, so as I say, it's a little bit different to the picture I was watching on the euro towards the end of the day when I was reviewing the market. So if we start breaking down after 8 o'clock here, the weekly pivot becomes my initial target, and then perhaps we may look for something further afield. Alternatively, if it breaks the 50, I'm a bit more bullish then. Dollar yen. So, excuse me, we've seen the a push towards the upside, a bit of a change of direction by the looks of things here on the dailies. Is trying to get through that 50. If it can break that daily 50, well then it'll be a bit more bullish. Now again, we've got a gap that's a little bit unfilled at the top there, so there's a possibility of still pushing up. Didn't quite catch the daily pivot on its route, so to me it just looks for now like we could have some more upside here and fill that gap. Now after that, well, the trend was pretty much on Friday up until towards the close to the upside, and there is potential for more upside. However, again, pretty much like with a lot of these currencies in the morning, I'll be watching the gap fill, the touch of daily pivot for a bit more of a clue at that time. If it seems to be quite happy at reversing at that point and then heading south, great. Otherwise, really, I've got to be looking at the bullish side of this market at the moment. Aussie dollar. So the Aussie dollar, it was tracking its way down slowly, and lower highs, lower lows on the 4 hourlies as we was leaving the market on Friday. Didn't have much of a gap, and it's really, to me, well, it's already hit the weekly pivot. It's just touching a daily pivot here. If it starts breaking through this 50 and 34, I would expect it may just continue to the downside some more, at least possibly towards Friday's lows, the S1 area. Canadian dollar. Put a bullish pivot swing in on the dailies there. Got a weekly pivot above us. This could just draw us up there. Again, it doesn't seem to be the gap there on the Canadian dollar. If it was a minute gap which has been filled, so that weekly pivot may be the draw on the Canadian dollar. Quite clean at the moment. Bit of a quiet old end of the week, like Thursday and Friday last week. Quite choppy towards the afternoon of the Thursday, then Friday. Not doing too much better. It's trying to break to the upside, and we could see a continuation, as I say, up to that new weekly pivot. Okay, that's pretty much the main pairs there. Actually, I mentioned Canadian dollar, not really looked at oil. I need to just check on what oil's doing. Well, that's consolidated still within this range of $50 to $55, so it's not really going too far. It would appear that production has been cut by many countries, and there's been plenty of talk about it at least. So, well, maybe that's the range it's going to stick in for now. But if it starts falling off quite a bit, well, that may push the Canadian dollar up more. Okay. News-wise today, there's not a lot of significant news. Of course, there's Chinese bank holiday still, part of their annual New Year holidays. And then really it's a lot of low-key data, none of which is major. We might get a bit of action around 1:30 when we get the core inflation figures coming through there. It's much more focused at individual personal consumption, the inflation figure there. So it'll be interesting to see if that gives a little bit of a movement around 1:30. The other side, the data is really low key. We've got the German PMI data, inflation data coming out this morning. It tends to move the market very little, but we can get little bits of volatility as we run through until about midday. Okay, that's it for me. Have a good day. Bye for now.